I'm unboxing this race kind of like I would unbox a box of beauty supplies. You know, it's good, this is bad, this is what worked overall, da-da-da-da. Hi, it's Carrie with Picasso Cat Treasures. Welcome back to my channel, my treasured viewers. And if you are new here, you are treasured as well. So I was making a lot of short videos for YouTube for a while, and then I kind of stopped making them for a couple of weeks. And the reason was, as you can tell by the thumbnail and the title of this particular video, I was getting ready to do an Ironman, and specifically Ironman Sacramento, which is a full Ironman. A full Ironman is 2.4 miles of a swim, 112 miles on the bike, and a full marathon run at the end. Yes, it's asking a lot. It's a very, very high endurance sport, and I trained and trained and trained for it. Because this is such a high endurance sport, you have to build your endurance over time, and it takes a lot of time and effort to do that. You have to spend hours on the bike every weekend and 2 or 3 times a week other than that. And you have to spend literally hours swimming in the pool to build up your endurance, and you have to run a lot. It builds from being hard to being really, really hard. And then you have a taper week. The reason I did this was I wanted to challenge myself. There was also another reason that I did it. I had been training a lot in the hills of Napa. I was doing a lot of trail running, and I was doing it because I had signed up to do, what is it called? Travel Adventures, and it was a 3-day trail running event in Utah where you ran near, not in, but near 3 national parks. And you had to, over those 3 days, you did about 40 miles. And so I had been training and training to do it. And I had gotten my, tickets to go, and I was going to sleep in a tent and get up every day and run, Zion, Bryce, and Antelope Canyon. And then that fell through. And I was like, I've been training and training. And I really was sad that that fell through. And I was like, well, what else can I do near me that's, kind of difficult, but, kind of the same. And I found the Sacramento Ironman Triathlon. I have a lot of good to say about Ironman, a lot. But I will say that with this kind of sport and marathons and other things like that, these are, I would say, rich people's sport. People are going to be mad at me for saying that. But, the ticket is almost $1,000 just to run the race. And so if you have to travel, or if you want to buy photos that they take of you on the race, or if you, want to spend a day or two after, you have to eat, it's more than that. Plus, you really have to have the proper bike to do 112 miles without completely giving up every single bit of strength you have in your legs to do a run. And you pretty much should have a gym membership so you can do a lot of swimming. And then you have to have a particular kind of wetsuit to swim like that. There are things that cost money. Now, I suppose once you get into it, you have all the equipment. That's one thing. But I just want people to know that it's not a cheap sport. But neither was the trail run that I was going to do. I was just going to do the trail run because I just wanted to. I just thought it sounded like fun. So that was my reason for signing up to do it, because I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. Try everything. Try it. I had gotten all my money back from this one trail running experience. I'll probably try to do it next year, but got my money back, and I was like ready to go, Of course, it was suggested that I get a coach. I wouldn't say I'm uncoachable, but I'm a very, let's just say I'm kind of a do-it-yourselfer. And so I was like, no, I'll just go on ChatGPT and I'll give them, my weight and my, this and that and the other thing. And I'll tell them when the race is and about the kind of condition I think I'm in. And they'll give me a plan. It will be great. It was 11 weeks out when I started really training for it, but I had been training for a while. ChatGPT came up with multiple ways for me to train, the basic framework of training. And then like within that training, you want to do these kinds of drills. You want to have this kind of heart rate. You want to do this because there's a certain way to build endurance, and it's not by going out and running all out. We have to remember that the first guy that ran a marathon died when he finished it. That was the end, so you don't want to do that. So I got myself onto ChatGPT, and I asked every question I could, and I went in every link direction, and I asked all about food and fueling. And I want to say that it was pretty spot on for all of that. I liked it for so many reasons. However, I'm going to tell the story of the day, and I'll tell you at the end whether I think you should just use ChatGPT or you should have a coach. And I don't think you'll be very surprised. So I trained, and I got there and I got all my things. And thankfully, they have a thing. I didn't have anybody with me. They have a thing with Ironman where you can pay money, a little extra. It's called Nirvana, the Nirvana experience. And you can, with that experience, they help you with all your gear. They get you into the front of lines if you need to be in the front of lines. And it's just a game changer if you don't have a Sherpa and there's nobody there to help you do anything. And I was alone in this. And so it was wonderful. I highly recommend that even if you have a Sherpa and somebody with you, I highly recommend Nirvana, and you'll hear why at the very end of my tale. So anyway, I was ready to go. I had done every minute of I'll show you. Wait a minute. I'm old school, right? So I hand wrote out every day of training from ChatGPT into my notebook, day after day. And every day I did every single minute, every mile, everything. And then you come to the point where you taper. Okay. And so the week before you stop working out so hard. The Sacramento Ironman it's beautiful. It's like set up right in front of the Capitol Mall. It's right there. And you start out in the American River, and then you join the Sacramento River and you swim and get out of the water and then run over to transition, 2.4 miles. Now, I will say that people go, well, it's river assisted and you practically can float down. Yes, it's river assisted, and they say you will swim about 10 minutes faster than normal. The river really picks up when you hit the Sacramento River. It also drops about 5 degrees. So you literally are swimming and suddenly you're like, whoa, okay. And that's another story later. But I just want people to know I got in and practiced, and I did it a couple of times before, and I did it in other bodies of water, trying to get used to the cold. It was about 63 degrees. It drops down to about 58 in the Sacramento River. But when you get in the river, when you're first starting to swim, you are going to feel a real cold shock. It's actually 100% real. People try it. Some people are very used to it. Most people aren't, and you have to really be ready for that. Your heart rate will go. I had done a lot of working on my swimming because, of course, I had a drowning event many years ago where I very nearly died. It was very close. I mean, the people in the hospital are like, she is one lucky woman. And I even when I was doing sprint triathlons, there were always a few yards, even up to 100 yards where I was just seizing up a little bit with panic, just that, and the cold. I really worked on that and got in the water, got out of the water and worked on that. And everybody is wonderful. And everybody there with the Sacramento Triathlon Club helped me. I joined that. It was great. And so when I got in the water on race day, it's interesting. You get down to transition very, very early in the morning. You drop your bags. If you haven't dropped them already, you drop everything. You have like several bags they give you. And they're clearly marked. You have to have them in certain places for the whole race, and it works perfectly. And I got in, the bus to go over to the swim start. Everything's fine. Everybody's doing fine. Then you self-seed yourself in line. There are about, I want to say there were 2,700 people there. And so they can't let everybody go in the water at once in the river. So they do a 5-second, they do 4 people at a time every 5 seconds. So it was supposed to start at 7. I don't think I actually got in the water until about 8 o'clock because of course I seed myself realistically in the, kind of in the back. And I got in the water, and for the first time in any triathlon I've done, I had no panic, and I just started to swim, and I swam the entire way. I'm not saying I'm really fast, but for me, I just had to stop and sight a couple of times. You have to you try to sight while you're swimming, but you have to go around certain buoys. And it's like, if you don't do that, the current will take you past and you have to swim back up the current and, try to go around. So I would stop in the water, look up and, where's the buoy, and go swimming. For me to continue to swim for 2.4 miles without panic and without anything, I wouldn't say I wasn't tired, but I didn't ever feel like I couldn't do it. It was just like, okay, look up. Okay, the bridge is there. You go under 3 bridges, something like that. And I thought I did pretty good. I got out of the water, and then they have these people that strip your wetsuit off of you. And I felt pretty good getting out, and I ran over to transition and I got on the bike. Now, the story behind the bike, I had bought myself a used bike that I thought was really good. It was a really nice bike. It was a road bike. It was definitely had aero bars already on it, so I could, get out of the wind if I needed to, kind of. And it fit me well, but I was having trouble keeping the tires inflated. I'm not sure it was the tires that were the problem, or perhaps it was the way that I was inflating the tires. And I think what might have happened is, I'm new at a lot of this. I'm not a cyclist, I'm not a competitive swimmer. I run a bit, that kind of thing. And I think what was happening is when I was taking, you clamp the air fill thing down and it fills up. And when I was taking it off, I probably was letting too much air out. But I was having trouble keeping air in my tires. And I did a ride about I ended up doing about 80 miles one day with the Sacramento Tri Club. And a really nice woman, I was talking to them and I was saying, I feel like my tires they go down to like 40 pounds. And you try going, 50 miles on 40-pound tires, I mean, it depends on what you're doing, but not for that. And she was so kind. She had a time trial bike, a really, really nice racing bike. And she was so sweet. She looks at me and she goes, "How tall are you?" And I go, "I'm 5'5", And she goes, that's how tall I am. You know what? I'm going to loan you my bike for this race. I'm not doing it, this Sacramento Ironman. I'm going to loan you the bike. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not sure that I'm the cyclist that can keep up with this bike, but I mean, that is so kind of you. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to pick the bike up for another couple of weeks. And then right after I picked it up from her, it rained. So I didn't want to go out and test it in the rain. I tested it finally when it was a dry day. I felt okay on it. Time trial bikes are very, very light, and it might have been too much bike for me. Okay, so I get on this bike and I head out, and I'm doing good. I mean, I'm actually faster than I'm used to being, and I had to actually slow myself down to keep my heart rate down. And I get out all the way to it's a 2-loop thing, 56 miles and then another 56 miles. So I'm out at the end of the first loop. And I finish, come all the way back. I'm coming back out of a really tough part of the road. And I will tell you the story of what happened I won't tell it in slow motion, but I want people to understand I'm not right in the way that I was thinking, but I was trying to be nice. I got to stop doing that. When you're out on the road, like I had been for a couple of weeks before, just out doing the same roads. These are very agrarian areas just south of Sacramento. We're talking about the Delta farming area. If you're looking to train in a vortex, look no further than the Delta farming area because the wind is pretty hard out there. However, the first loop was early enough in the morning that it wasn't bad. I'm coming around the first loop. I'm riding. I'm doing pretty good. And I am just passed repeatedly by, I'm sorry to say it, always men, so close to me that I could feel the whoosh when they went by. There's plenty of room on the road. I just want to remind you, there's plenty of room. The roads have been closed for this race. They would go by so fast, I could feel it with no warning. There was no, I'm on your left, or, moving a foot or two over so you didn't feel so intimidated. Happened about 10 times. And that it rattled me. It did. It rattled me. And so what I did was I tried to stay as far over to the right as I could. Now, these are agrarian highways that trucks go on. These are not, if the tar, the chip seal of the road, they'd pour it and then it would end and just drop off into gravel. It wasn't like this nice, smooth transition in a lot of the places. And so you don't want to get off that road. And I'm way over there. And I'm like, I feel, a couple times I almost crashed. And I tried really hard to just keep up with my eating and my drinking and all that kind of stuff. Came out of a really bumpy, hard part of the road. It's called Babel Slough. And anybody who knows it knows it's very bumpy and there's all kinds of shadows all over it. So you're not sure what you're seeing, really. And I got out of that. I turned and I'm trying to get way over to the right because I don't want to feel that whoosh of something going past me without saying anything to me, nothing, no warning. And, my thought is there's a lot of road over there. Anyway. And not all, most of the cyclists in Ironman didn't do that at all. This was this was an anomaly. These were the outliers. Most of them don't. But it rattled me enough where I feel like I have to be really far over. Okay. And so I'm coming out of this one turn, and the shoulder of the road it's like they just sort of poured the road and just let the edges drop, and I went off the road into the gravel and tried to correct, and I fell to the left, and I fell really hard on my knee, and my helmet hit, which is fine. I was fine. And my hands, I went down on my hands, but it wasn't like a really fast fall. I mean, it was kind of when you semi-control a little, but I fell hard on my knee. You stand there for a few minutes because sometimes you don't know if you're injured for a while. I realized the only thing really happening is I have a bloody knee and the blood is going down my knee. Other than that, my hands were a bit injured and they felt really weak. But other than that, I felt like I was okay, other than the adrenaline rush. So I get up and I have this like headband thing on I wear around my neck when I'm cycling. I take that off, I sop up the blood, and I wrap it around my knee so that when I'm heading into the wind isn't going to hurt the scrape. And I get on the bike and realize, the chain came off. Unfortunately, it wasn't my bike. And so I was rattled, and I'm at the side of the road, and I'm like, I have to get this back on with hands that aren't working. They're really not working very well. And so I finally got the chain back on, but getting back on and riding it, something was wrong, I believe, with a wheel alignment, and the chain was wrong. And so I rode all the way down to the turnaround. I rode another 35 miles. So I rode a total of 65 miles. The first 30, no problem. The last 35, I rode 35 more miles with that. And it felt as if I was really rolling a giant boulder up a hill. It was so hard to pedal that bike. Everything was hard. And if I had had a personal coach, I probably would have been told multiple times, when you're on the road, if you have a bike problem, they will come by eventually. The bike fixers will come by and help you fix the bike. And the bike fixer did go by at one point. I got to mile 60 and I just put the bike against a fence and sat on the road. I just sat there, right? Because I'm just like, I am scared to fall again, so I'm not getting my nutrition in, because I have to pull over to get it. I'm phased. And the second thing was, this is so monumentally hard that like every cell of my body was just like wrung out. Okay. So the guy did come by to fix the bike, but in my mind, that was the guy that fixes the tires. And I didn't think I had a tire problem. I should have said, I think I have a problem with my chain. I'm going to tell you something. When you're there physically, you don't think straight. You're not thinking straight. You're just not there. Okay. So the medical people came by a couple of times and they're like, are you okay? I'm like, I think I can do it. And one guy jumps out and he's like, I have electrolytes. I have food. I have everything. I'm already a do not finish. Do you want to take my stuff? You're not really supposed to do that on the trail. But of course, I'm like, whatever. And he was so nice. And I took that and I went, I would say, another 5 miles. And for 5 miles, I struggled with keeping my bike. This is more than you want to know. But for 5 miles, I really struggled keeping that bike straight. And at that point, I'm just trying to stay somewhere over to the right and not wobble into somebody else. And a couple of times I thought, I could fall again because I am not feeling very good. I am not fueling on a regular basis because I'm scared to do that while the bike is going because I don't want to fall. Okay. And at about 5 miles later, I stopped and I went, not only if I fall, I was lucky this time. I didn't break anything. I skinned my knee and I hurt my hand. I think I hit somewhere the nerves in my hand. I don't know, but I could barely change the gears, which were electronic gears. I could not hold on to the bike well because my hands, I'd fallen on them. And all I could think was, yes, you trained forever to do this and you really want to finish and you really didn't want to fall. And there were a lot of factors in that. But do you want to fall again? Not particularly. And a second thing, which will get most humans every time, do you want to fall again in the path of another rider and ruin their day too? I'm done. The minute I thought, oh yeah, if I wobble, and even if they're coming too close to me, and even if they warn me, I'm not steady on this bike. I'm not. I was, then I fell and I'm not steady. And I just went, oh, I'm tapping out. That's it. Because the last thing I want is to ruin somebody else's day because I was too stubborn to stop when my body simply wasn't working anymore. It wasn't, and the bike wasn't really working for me anymore. And my body stopped working for me. Now, most of us were like, we can go on forever and do anything. I knew in my mind, I knew I couldn't. So the medical truck came back and I'm like, you know, I'm done. I can't go on. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I am a danger to myself and others. You know, I really am. And they put my bike on, you know, you're done when they put the bike on the back of the truck. And I'm back there looking at them going, can I help you? And they're like, no. You know, it's just, and I'm like, I watched it go on there and I went, I know in the bottom of my heart that I made the right decision. I knew it. I knew that had to be done. I wasn't happy about it. I really wanted to finish this. However, I also knew that I had come to the end of that race for a couple of different reasons. So I climb in the car and there's two other people in there, one who had had a biking accident and one who had, the guy that gave me all the wonderful nutrition on the road. He had to stop because he got so cold during the swim that they had to like warm him for an hour before he couldn't stop shaking. He's like, I just couldn't stop shaking. So they had to put him in the medical tent for an hour to heat him up before they allowed him to get on the bike. And he said, I should have stopped then. I didn't have it. He's like an ultra runner. And he's like, I do ultras. I was going to try, you know, and he had such a great attitude. And I leaned over to him and I said, you know, you made everything okay for me. And he said, why? And I said, because when you handed me your stuff and said, it's okay, I'm a do not finish. It was with such a good attitude. You were not embarrassed, ashamed, nothing. It was, that's the way it is. And I thought, oh, okay, it's okay to not finish. Nothing wrong with it. That's okay, you know. And so I climb in and there's a guy in the center and he's got this big patch on his arm. And really, he's got a couple other patches on. And they pulled him off the course because on the really very bad part of the road, he had like gone over his handlebars and scraped his elbow so bad that he eventually had to get 8 stitches. And he said I would have kept going. I go, what mile were you on when you fell? And he said I was on the bike 100. I'm like, ooh. And he goes, well, you know what? Getting a do not finish on a race that cost me $1,000 to enter is a first world problem. It's okay. And we're like, you're right. And so we, talked all the way back. I had to finish. And this is where Nirvana comes in. I was so out of everything that when I finished, I parked my bike and did all the things, had to go to the medical tent for my leg, but I was okay. And there were, other people there. And I went back to the bike and I just sat under it and I thought, I have to somehow gather all of my things, my bike, and get it back to the hotel. And I have nothing left. And I have nothing. I'm drinking all the time. I'm eating the food they're giving me, but it is not catching up with my cells. It's just, it's not getting to me. Okay. And I'm just sitting under the bike and I look up and the guy with Nirvana, who I bought the package for, he happened to be right there. I wonder if he was there because I was a do not finish. So he came over to look, but I'm like, Nirvana guy, forgot his name. He's like, what? And I'm like, I need my bags and I need my finisher bag. There's a bag that will be there for you at the end of the race. It's there for you in the morning. They move it over to the end and it had my cell phone in it. And I'm like, but it's where the finish line is and I am not there. Okay. I'm sitting under the wheel of the bike going, I need my phone. I need to tell people I'm okay, but I can't move. I'm just so tired. So he went and got it for me and brought it back all the way over, which is about a half a mile to the finish line and back. And then he said, is there anything else we can do? What can we do? And I'm like, my hotel is right by the finish line over there. And yet we are not there. And he goes, do you think you can get your bags and your bike and go to your hotel? Or do you need, some sort of ride? I said, I don't need a ride to the hotel. I can walk that, but I can't do the bikes to the bag. I can't do my bike and I can't do those bags. I can't do it. And he goes, so you don't think you could walk with that? And I said, honestly, no. And he said, then we will bring it to you. And what hotel are you? Oh, you're in that. That's right. You're in that hotel. And I said, I'm just going to walk myself, back to the hotel. And he said, sure, don't need a ride. But it's, when they've closed every road, a ride would have taken forever. Anyway, I said, no, I'm okay, but I'm going to go to my room. I get to the lobby and I'm sitting in the lobby for like a half an hour talking to my son because he was a bit worried, but everything is fine. I go to my room, I get in the shower, and of course that's when they bring the bike. So he brought it himself directly to me at my hotel. And I'm telling you, it was, I don't know what I would have done without that package to help me, Nirvana. I don't know. I highly recommend their help. And part of it is because some unforeseen thing may happen. And if it does, you really need their help. You need help. I'm sure that volunteers, other people would have helped me. I'm sure they would have allowed me to leave the bike in transition for quite a while. But I wasn't sure that once I got to the hotel and took a shower and ate, that I would be able to get up and go back and get it. I mean, I was, really that done. And so it was just wonderful. I get off the elevator. He's right there with everything. So Nirvana, thank you so much. I loved it. So what are my takeaways from this? Personally, I use ChatGPT to train, and I think for so many things, it worked really well. I could ask questions, it would direct me around, and it was really doing well. I also learned a couple things about Ironman. I would always look from the outside, like I think a lot of us do. We're like, well, I do 5Ks, every now and then, or it's sprint triathlon, and you're looking at Ironman, like those are like this is a community in which they'd never let me sit at the lunch table with them. They're so, it's too unapproachable. And when I signed up, I realized that was 100% not true. Yes, you have to train. Of course, like anything, like they're going to hand you a college diploma if you don't do anything either. Yes, you have to train, but when you sign up, you are instantly encouraged, welcome. Everybody's nice to you. Everybody that I met that was an athlete, they wanted everybody else to finish. Ironman wants you to do well. All the other athletes wanted each other to finish. We stood in line for the swim start for a long time, and I stood next to this one girl that I actually follow on Facebook. I love her, Olivia Bournes, and she's so fun. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I know you from, because she always wears pink and stuff. She didn't have pink on her wetsuit, but I just knew it was her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just follow you. Wonderful. You're so much fun. And we just laughed because you're standing there in the dark waiting to get in the freezing water for like an hour. And we really we all had a great time talking. We really, like one lady even came through and hugged everybody. Does anybody need a hug? I'm like, I could use 3 hugs right now because, you're not Superman. You're not. And so we just had a fun time. And I will tell you that girl, Olivia Bournes, she actually found me, I don't know how, but she found me on Facebook and messaged me and said, were you the woman I was in line with at the swim start? If you are, I just wanted you to know that you really set the tone for the day for me. Thank you so much. And I'm like, I cried. I actually did, because I'm like, wow, I actually did something for somebody. I made somebody feel a little better, and she actually took the time to thank me. Also, the gentleman that was in the car with me as we were driving back, who had really hurt his elbow bad, he actually is a journalist that writes about it. I didn't know that. He writes, I'll try to put the link down below. He writes a lot of articles, maybe not about this, but he did write an article, and that's how I found out who it was. He wrote an article about, really smashing his elbow on an Ironman in California. I'm like, that had to be the same guy. And it was. And he tells a really interesting story about what it meant for him to have to stop because he was helping on a team to raise money for Parkinson's disease and what that felt like to flip over the bike with absolutely no warning and have to stop, and things you don't see. And I think both he and I, and probably people that couldn't finish or even those that did, I think you learn that the ending that you're really hoping for, that you're training for and you're hoping for, yes, it's wonderful, but it may not be the ending you get. And if it isn't, that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You're not racing across the frozen Alaska tundra to bring medicine to a dying child. You're running an Ironman. And it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay. It's okay to try super hard. It's all okay. I wasn't even mad at the men who kept, and there weren't that many of them, kept going by me so close that I'm like, dude, we don't even know each other. And that's how, close it was. I was self-intimidated by that. Now, to bring everything around to one package deal, I'm unboxing this race kind of like I would unbox a box of beauty supplies. It's good, this is bad, this is what worked overall, Would I do Ironman again? Absolutely, I would. I don't know that I will personally, because at my age, it takes so much effort and time to train yourself up. I might think about doing like a half Ironman, which sounds incredibly hard anyway, but I might think about that because a full Ironman requires so many hours. There was a weekend, I'm not kidding, I had to ride my bike for 7.5 hours as a part of the training plan. And the next day I had on my schedule to run 21 miles, and I did. And that is, you're going out at, with my speed, you're going out at 6 a.m. and you're running until, whenever you're done, however long it takes you to finish. I'm probably 5.5 hours, 6 hours running because I'm slow. And then you get home, you're like, well, I've done my workout and now I can do the rest of and you are out. You're snoring. And then you wake up and you eat and then you nap again. It really takes over your life. So, but I have these wonderful things to say about Ironman. Extremely inclusive. They have a really good system. They're really good about the system they have set up. They want you to finish. They're going to make it hard. And the athletes, people that you run into, 9.8 out of 10 of them are the nicest people. And they are just as thrilled at you finishing as if they finished. They're all very welcoming. So there is no real barrier. It's not the cool kids table. It's just the table of a bunch of people who chose to really, really dial in on this one thing. And yes, they are hard to finish. And people who go around the rest of their lives having that on their Facebook profile, mother of 3, I work in computers, Ironman. And I'm like, I get it. It's really hard. Okay. It's hard. And it's a huge accomplishment. Would I do it without a coach? 100% no. Never. I wouldn't do it without a coach ever again. I would get some form of human coaching. If you have, even if it's like a mix between AI coaching schedule, but access to a person. There were many things about the course and about racing that I would have been able to ask a human that I didn't ask. And one of them was, where are the tire pumps on the road? I didn't even know there would be any out there. I forgot completely that I could have asked for help with my chain. I would have had a better system, I think, set up for my food and fuel on the bike. I think I would have done better at that. And it would have been a little bit, if I had been able to keep up my nutrition and had the bike chain put on right, I would have probably been able to at least finish the bike portion of it, because at 65 miles, you just have to get to 112. I think I could have done that. I do want to say also, as a brief thing, the woman who loaned me the bike, she was so kind to me. I said, I crashed. She's like, she's worried about me. Don't worry about you. And she did take it in, and it did have, I'm not sure if it was a wobble in the axle, but the wheel was out of alignment, one of the wheels, and one of the tires had a problem. And so that's what I was racing on, including the bad chain. And so she goes, when I took it back to her, she goes, would you have had a better time on your own bike? And I said, well, I knew how to put I don't know. I don't know. I knew my own bike a little better. A time trial bike. My bike sits up a little better. It does have aero bars. that bike is down. I mean, you are like sloping almost downhill all the time on the bike. And I also think that might have contributed to me losing the feelings in my hands. That night in the hotel room, I ordered like a burger or something. I don't know. And they send those ketchup packages. I could not open it. My fingers were not strong. I couldn't do it. I had to get the scissors out of my bag and, cut it. And even that was ridiculous. And for days afterward, I had a really hard time doing the simplest things when it came to my fingers. When I put the chain on the bike, I had to do it like with the palms of it was really hard. Okay, so I would never do it without a coach if I were you, especially an Ironman. I would get a coach there, worth their weight in gold. And if you're going to put that money out there and train and do all that stuff, get a trainer, even if it's just somebody that you talk to on Zoom or you pick up the phone. They know what they're talking about and they know those courses. So do not do what I did. ChatGPT is helpful, but not for that. I learned a lot about the fact that without the human experience and the human eyes and, bones and flesh, really, they can do so much in AI, but they'll never be able to replace that as far as I know. But anyway, so absolutely get a coach, 100%. I don't even have any coaches I can recommend. I wish I did because I didn't get one. And I would love to work with a coach. And, I'm still in this endurance position with my health. And I'm like, maybe I should just go in a couple months, try a half Ironman, because it's hard to build it back up once you've lost it, but once it's there, you keep it up. We'll see. Now, I had another little thing happen that I have to talk about. This is my long video. It's going to require a lot of editing, but about a week and a half before this race, I injured my right ear really badly. And I went immediately to the doctor and I'm like, did I puncture the eardrum? Is something going on? Okay, I'm not going to tell the story because it's too hard to believe. She looked, I went right in. My ear is ringing and there was a lot of pain for a few seconds and then it was gone and there wasn't any blood, nothing. But I went in and I said, is my eardrum gone? Did I perforate my eardrum? Because it didn't feel good. Did not feel good. She looked and looked, but she couldn't see around some of the damage and blood that was inside my ear. And she said, she had me do all these things. She looked at the other ear and she said, I really don't see a perforation. I think you're okay. I think it's just it damaged your ear. And I said, well, my ear feels kind of stuffy, like I have cotton in it. And she goes, yeah, give that a little bit of time. But from what I can tell, you're fine. Just wear earplugs or wax in your ears. Don't get your ears wet until that time. Wear a cap, but you'll know. So I went out and I did try a little bit of swimming that way and everything was fine. So I did use the earwax and I used a neoprene cap that, went over my head. And I get out of the water and I'm fine. I'm 100% fine. Then I fall on the bike. So when I was done and I went, home, I still had this really full feeling in my ear. So I'm like, I better go back. I better go back to the doctor. She wanted me to go back in about a week. I did. And she looked and she goes, oh, okay. The rest of the damage is gone, but you have a healing eardrum. You had a ruptured eardrum. I did not know that. I did not know that. People are like, wouldn't it be so painful? Evidently not, because it was showing, she knew that it had been ruptured because it was showing signs of healing. And so it was definitely a rupture. And so I did the swim and the bike with a ruptured eardrum. And there's a part of me that makes me wonder, with all the things put together, with a ruptured eardrum, that might have been why I fell in the first place. I'm not sure. I didn't feel like I was unsteady like you would be if your ears are not working right. I didn't feel like I had vertigo. I never felt dizzy and I never had pain. I just had what felt was a stuffy ear. So, but the truth of the matter is I raced that with a ruptured eardrum and didn't know it. And a coach, I'm telling you, a coach would have said, if there's even a hint that you might have a real problem, why don't you put this off and ask them to put it toward another race at a time when your ear's not like that? And that would have been what I had done. Also, when I was there, I showed her my scrape on my knee. I said, yeah, I kind of got this scraped up. And she goes, oh, well, that's infected. You need antibiotics. So I had to be on antibiotics for 5 days, I think it was, to clear up my knee. And I told a couple people my mini skirt days are over, except that I don't remember ever wearing them except when maybe I was 5. I don't, maybe when I was 5, I ran around in them. I don't know. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I met wonderful people. I met people that had a great attitude in life. I met people who really, really, really tried. And what I loved about the people that I was surrounded with was there were no losers. Even the people who couldn't finish did not consider themselves a loser. They did not consider that at all. What it was, oh, well, I'll have to try again, or, And so if you're feeling like you want to do some kind of extreme sport and you feel like you're on the outside looking in at all these superb athletes, most of them, some of them are professionals. This is how they make their living. The rest of us are out there just for personal challenge reasons. And if you have the right attitude, you can have fun no matter what. And then you go to the next race. Hopefully, if I do that, I will know so much more going in than I did before. And I can use the failure points of that race to not have the same failure points in the next race if I do it. One of which was I would have a coach. So I'm going to go back to my unboxings after this. I actually, I'm probably going to do a video soon about unboxing new channels I found that I like and stuff like that. But I am so behind on my beauty unboxings and my Shein unboxings and my Temu hauls and my all that stuff. I'm going to go back to that. But my number one thing is always get yourself a coach for any kind of real big endurance sport. You're already putting out a ton of money anyway. Don't take having to stop or making the decision to stop, or in the case of the man that hurt his elbow, he was pulled off the course. He could not stop. Don't take that as loser. You're absolutely 100% just trying something. And I gave myself, not that I wanted to fail, but I gave myself the freedom to fail. Even if I fail, maybe I'll just get back up and try again. I say my life motto basically is get back up. I've been knocked down, as probably all of us. You're knocked down mentally, physically, financially, emotionally. Every way you can think, you've probably been gut punched and thrown to the ground, metaphorically and maybe even in real life, multiple times. And the only difference between you and maybe the next guy is you just got back up. And so when things are hard for me, especially physically, I will literally say to myself, get back up. And I'm dead serious, because the day will come when I cannot, when I'm too old or I'm ill, but it's not today. It's not today. And so that's the decision and choice that you can make. I can take this and I can cry and weep and people can make fun of me, which they didn't. Or I can say, I tried and it didn't work out this time. I may try again, but boy, did I meet some great people, and I'm going to get back up. Do it. I stopped doing this channel for a long time when I was at like 1,700 subscribers. And at one point I wasn't going to ever go back. And then I decided, wait a minute. I stopped because I was in a relationship that was actually just so draining emotionally, mentally, verbally, financially, that I just had no joy left in my eyes. I had no spark. I had nothing. And I decided I want to reclaim that part of myself. And I started making videos again. And I'm now at a little over 50,000 subscribers. And I'd like to gain more. So, please like and subscribe, and please make a comment. The algorithm is crazy for comments. I don't care if you just loser. I don't care what you put in the comments. Just say hi. And I'm really looking forward to the holiday season. I'm going to try to do another, probably at least like 12 days of Christmas type of one everyday thing. I'm going to try to do a lot more unboxings because, why not? I also have a show that I'm in is coming out. Well, let's see. It's called the Promised Land series. And it's on YouTube, the Promised Land series on YouTube. And I was an extra, yes, an extra in, I think it was season 1, episode 6. I am a seamlessly blending Israelite woman in the desert I'm not going to tell what I'm doing because they haven't come out yet. I also have a film sprint really cute that I was in, and it's just films you make for a film sprint for Halloween, and it's called My Final Trick. And I had to make the very big stretch of playing a mom. You know, it was really, really hard for me. And the person who was my son in the video is my son, so it wasn't too hard. And my other son's music is used in it. So that was fun. I have another premiere of another one coming out soon that I get to go to actually kind of a premiere for. I'm very excited, but I'm not allowed to talk about. And I'll let you know what else I've been doing that's coming out. Like, you do these things, you're in them, and it's like a year later before these things are edited and then they come out. So I've got a couple other films I was in, and I'll let you know. But I'm having fun, and my YouTube channel is how I got most of those parts, because I had a presence on YouTube. So thank you, and good luck. If you guys want to know what not to do in an Ironman, ask me. But if you really want to do one, don't be afraid to do one, and get a coach. And I hope you have a wonderful few days until I see you again. And as always, keep your eyes open for treasure. And that might be the people you stand in line with to get in the freezing cold water at 7 a.m. They were a treasure. So never forget that. Never forget that. Anyway, bye.